The Google Pixel 11 series is official. I've had some early hands-on time, and here's everything you need to know. So as expected, we have 4 new Google Pixel 11 devices. There is the Google Pixel 11, the 11 Pro, the 11 Pro XL, and the 11 Pro Fold. All of them do look familiar with some refinements. Now, we had a design update from the 9 series, so considering we're now 3 years in, I'd expect more of a design refresh next year. But for now, they still look pretty good, and I do like the visor design. The Pixel 11 comes in a pistachio, an obsidian, a hibiscus, as well as a frost. It has a glossy finish for the Gorilla Glass Victus 2 back with a satin finish for the aluminium frame. Now, one of the key improvements is that we have a much thinner camera bar, and this is definitely noticeable. If you use the Pixel 11 with a case, then it's going to be pretty much flush, and this is something that I do like. The Pixel 11 Pro and the 11 Pro XL come in an obsidian, an olive, a canyon, and a fog. Once again, we have Gorilla Glass Victus 2 for the back glass, but this has a matte finish, which I prefer. But then we have a glossy finish for the aluminium frame, apart from the obsidian, which has a matte finish. Now, personally speaking, I like a matte finish across the board. It just looks and feels better, but here's what we have. Now, all of the devices, including the 11 Pro Fold, have an IP68 dust and water resistance rating, which is amazing, especially for the Fold. This is something we saw with the 10 Pro Fold, and it's great that we also have this for the 11 Pro Fold. A lot of other foldables generally have around an IP48 rating. Now, with the 11 Pro Fold, it comes in an obsidian and an olive, and it is around 10% lighter compared to the 10 Pro Fold and almost a millimeter thinner. Now, that might sound impressive, but when we look at the competition, the Pixel 11 Pro Fold is quite a bit thicker and heavier. So the flagship foldable in the West anyway, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra, weighs quite a bit less, around 215 grams compared to the 239 grams of the 11 Pro Fold. And the 11 Pro Fold is around 10.1 millimeters when it's folded and around 5 millimeters when it's unfolded. Now, comparing that to the Z Fold 8 Ultra, that's around 4.1 millimeters when it's unfolded. So quite a significant difference. And this is something that you can definitely feel when you're holding the 11 Pro Fold. Now, although it's not the thinnest and lightest foldable out there, it is very durable, apparently 3 times more durable compared to the 10 Pro Fold. And it's got a new composite back material, which is designed to be nearly impossible to crack. This is something that I'm not personally going to test, but I'm sure others will do. And there's also a new hinge to protect against accidental drops. Now, looking at the displays of the devices, starting with the Pixel 11, the display is very familiar. A 6.3-inch actual display, OLED technology, and it goes from 60 to 120 Hz, which means it does not have LTPO technology like the flagships. So it's not going to be as smooth or as efficient. The brightness hasn't changed, but it's still a very respectable up to 3000 nits peak brightness. Now, my only gripe with the Pixel 11 are those bezels, especially for the price that it's going to be retailing at. Those bezels are thick. Now, the Pixel 11 would be on the same category as something like the iPhone 17, and the iPhone 17 has much smaller and better looking bezels. Now, with the Pixel 11 Pro and the 11 Pro XL, we have some beautiful displays, 6.3 inches for the 11 Pro, 6.8 inches for the 11 Pro XL, and these are Super Actua LTPO OLED displays, so they go from 1 to 120 Hz. We've got Gorilla Glass Victus 2 again, but we now have an anti-scratch coating, which supposedly makes them 2 times more scratch resistant. And they're also brighter, up to 3600 nits. That's up from around 3300 nits that we had on last generation's Pro devices. The Pixel 11 Pro Fold also gets some display updates. So the cover screen is now 6.5 inches from 6.4 inches, and that is because of the smaller bezels. It also has ceramic glass on the front, which should once again make it more durable. And inside we have an 8-inch display with a reduced crease. Now, in my first impressions, it's definitely reduced. How is it compared to some of the competition? I'm gonna have to put them side by side. I would say it's more visible compared to some of the recent ones that I've seen, but I'm gonna have to get it in the studio. It's also got the same peak brightness, 3600 nits, which makes it around 20% brighter compared to last year. Now, looking at the back of these devices, we do have a new feature called HiLight for the Pro devices. So the 11 Pro, the 11 Pro XL, and the 11 Pro Fold. This is not something that we have on the 11. Now, this is essentially a colored LED light around the flash at the back in the camera bar, and it's used for when the device is facing down. Kind of reminds me of the LED notification lights that we used to have on Android smartphones. I'm not sure how many of you remember those, but I used to absolutely love those. And the thinking behind this is if you want to use Gemini when the device is facing down, it's going to give you some feedback with the light. And also you can set custom colors for calls from your favorite contacts. So if your missus is calling you, you can have a red alert. Now, as far as I understand, currently this is just going to be for calls, but later this will also be for message notifications from your favorite contacts. I would also like it to be customized across different apps. And that's what I personally used to like with LED notification lights when we used to have them on Android smartphones before, having different colors for different apps. Now let's talk about the cameras, because we do have some hardware improvements across the board for the cameras. So for the Pixel 11, we have a new 48 megapixel wide camera, and this has 56% more light sensitivity. There's a 13 megapixel ultra wide camera, as well as a 10.8 megapixel 5x telephoto camera, which gives you up to 30 times super zoom. And for the selfie camera, we have a 10.5 megapixel selfie camera with autofocus. The Pixel 11 Pro and 11 Pro XL have the exact same triple camera setup. So we have a new 50 megapixel primary camera. This has a larger sensor, and it's apparently Pixel's best camera yet, 1/1.3 inches. There's a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera with macro focus, and a new 48 megapixel telephoto camera, which is going to give you up to 10 times optical quality zoom. And with this larger 1/1.95 inch sensor, you're going to get 30% better light sensitivity and up to 120 times pro zoom. This is up from 100 times that we had last year. Now, when you do zoom in at that extended range, there is going to be a lot of AI at play. Now, having tested the extended zoom on the 10 Pro XL last year, I was pretty impressed, especially because the AI processing happens on device. It doesn't have to go to the cloud. But there were certain instances, especially if you're zooming into text, where it kind of just makes up random stuff. That's something that I'm hoping they have improved, and something that I'm gonna have to test. And both the 11 Pro and 11 Pro XL have a high resolution 42 megapixel selfie camera with autofocus. Now for the 11 Pro Fold, we have a new 48 megapixel primary camera, and this gives you around 56% improved light sensitivity. There's a 10.5 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 10.8 megapixel telephoto camera, which gives you 5 times optical zoom, and once again up to 30 times super zoom, and two 10 megapixel selfie cameras, one on the cover screen and one on the inside. Now we do have a new feature called Instant Night Sight, and this is going to give you up to 4.5 times faster night sight photos. Now with Pixel devices, as always, it's more about the software rather than the hardware. And these devices will be coming out of the box with Android 17. And Google, as always, has promised 7 years of OS security and Pixel drop updates, which is amazing. Now we have lots of new features. I'm going to run you through some of them. We've got Magic Capture, which captures both video and images, and then it picks the best moments from a scene. It's going to use unblur and going to sharpen these images using AI. Something I didn't get to test in the hands-on, but looks pretty promising, especially for events and if you've got kids. We've got new camera looks, so as well as the original Pixel style, you'll be able to tweak this and get natural shadows or vanilla. And there are also lots more sub-levels which you can choose between to get the look that you like. The only thing I don't like about this is that whenever you go with a look, that look is going to be baked into your photos. If we compare this to the next generation photographic styles on the iPhone, which I use all the time and I absolutely love, you can actually change these after you've taken the image. So they are not baked in, and that's something that I would have liked here on the Pixels as well. There are also some new features for content creators. So we've got a new creator suite. And one of the things that's really cool with this is you can use a teleprompter, which is going to sit above your selfie feed and it's going to scroll as you talk, which is going to be really useful if you are trying to follow a script. You'll also be able to organize your clips into project folders and refine things in a storyboard. And Google have said that we're going to be getting the best video quality ever on a Pixel, as well as Pro Stable video. However, to maximize these features, you are going to have to upload them to the cloud, wait for them to be processed, and come back in a few hours. And that is something that is a little bit tedious with Pixel devices, especially if you want to capture something and share it straight away. Having to wait a few hours is not the most convenient. There's also Rambler, which worked really well in my testing. When you're trying to dictate to your phone and you're saying lots of having lots of pauses, the Pixel with Gemini is going to be able to give you something much cleaner as an output. And then we have Gemini intelligence across the devices, which is going to be a lot more contextual. So, for example, if you're speaking to somebody about an upcoming flight, it's going to be able to grab that flight info and have that ready for you. And this is a situation I've been in many times. Another example is if you're in a group chat and somebody's suggesting a restaurant, then it's going to be able to bring up details of that restaurant and eventually go in and book that as well. Now, as this is contextual, you will need context and you're going to have to use the devices for a bit and feed in all of your data from your different apps. So this is going to be interesting to see after I've used the devices for some time. And the other thing is how many of these features are going to come to other Android devices that are not just Pixels. As we've seen over the past few years, features such as Circle to Search, which I use all the time, are now on pretty much all Android devices. So is this also going to be the case with a lot of these other features? We'll have to wait and see. Now for the performance. So all of the new Pixel devices come with the Tensor G6 chipset. And this has a TPU with 50% more compute. It has an upgraded image signal processor, and it has a CPU which delivers 25% faster web browsing, 15% faster app loading, and 20% better power efficiency. Now, interesting how there is no mention of gaming. So as always, we're gonna have to test out the new Pixels and see how the Tensor G6 compares to the flagship chipsets, such as the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. Now for RAM, the Pixel 11 comes with 12 gigabytes of RAM and either 256 or 512 gigabytes of storage. So storage has now finally doubled, because previously it started at 128 gigabytes, which was too less in my opinion for 2025. So finally Google has caught up. That also goes for the Pixel 11 Pro. The 10 Pro once again started with 128 gigabytes. The Pixel 11 Pro and 11 Pro XL start with 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. But if you get the 512 or the 1 terabyte versions, then they will come with 16 gigabytes of RAM. The Pixel 11 Pro Fold comes with a base of 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is going to be good for your multitasking, and it comes with 256, 512, or 1 terabyte of storage. Now for the battery. So the battery sizes are relatively the same as what we had last year, but we do have improved battery life thanks to the Tensor G6. So with the Pixel 11, it has around a 4,985 milliamp hour battery, which is going to give you around 30 plus hours of usage, according to Google. It supports 30 watts of charging, so it's going to give you around 55% in 30 minutes. The Pixel 11 Pro has a slightly smaller 4,850 milliamp hour battery. Once again, Google say around 30 plus hours of usage. 30 watts of charging, so up to 55% in 30 minutes again. The Pixel 11 Pro XL has the largest battery out of the bunch at around 5,115 milliamps. Once again, around 30 hours is what Google is saying. So similar usage compared to the others, and that is because of the larger screen. But it does support 45 watts of charging, so it will give you around 75% in 30 minutes. The Pixel 11 Pro Fold has a 4,750 milliamp hour battery. Google say this is going to give you around 24 hours of usage, and it supports 30 watts of charging, so around 50% in 30 minutes. Now, all of the devices support 25 watts of Qi 2.2, so you're going to get fast wireless charging with PixelSnap. So we have magnets built into all devices, and you will be able to use MagSafe accessories and get some pretty fast charging speeds. And of course, Pixels are still some of the only Android devices out there with magnets built in, so you can use MagSafe accessories and PixelSnap accessories as you please. And finally, pricing. So for the Pixel 11, it now starts at £879, which is around £80 more compared to the Pixel 10. But the Pixel 10 started with 128 gigabytes of storage. So if we compare the like for like 256 gigabyte versions, then you're going to be paying around £20 less compared to last year. To me, that is still pretty pricey because you're looking at almost £900 for a device with pretty thick bezels. I mean, we just have to look at the iPhone 17, although that doesn't have the triple camera setup, it does seem to be quite a bit better in many ways. The Pixel 11 Pro starts at around £80 more, so £1,079. But once again, because the Pixel 10 Pro started with 128 gigabytes of storage, if we compare the 256 gigabyte version, that was around £1,100. So it's coming in around £20 cheaper compared to last year. The Pixel 11 Pro XL, however, does start around £80 more. And remember, the 10 Pro XL last year also started with 256 gigabytes. So you're going to be paying more for the Pixel 11 Pro XL, and the Pixel 11 Pro Fold starts around £50 more compared to last year, so around £1,799. So some interesting devices with some good improvements, but I think the pricing is pretty high to remain competitive. I mean, with the Pixel 11 Pro XL, you are looking at the same flagship price as, say, the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra. And if we look at a lot of the Pixel devices now, they have been reduced quite a bit on the Google website, and I'd assume similar things will be happening with the 11 series. I'll be leaving links to the best deals down in the description below, so do go ahead and check those out. What do you guys think of the Google Pixel 11 series? Drop me a comment below, let me know, and also let me know what you'd like me to cover when these devices are in the studio. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do smash that like button for me, and if you haven't already, then do consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon so you don't miss future coverage like this. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.